Hey, what's going on? My name is Scott Schertzen alongside Mr. Ryan O'Regan. First things first, we got to do the legal stuff. But welcome to Tales from the Film Set and welcome to Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250, 249. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on the app stores of iOS and Android devices. When you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are free, so you can't beat the price. Zingo TV, by the way, is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Good. The legal stuff is out of the way. So, well,
okay, I'll stop swiping. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you swiping left or swiping right?
Both. Depends.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Well,
easy.
let's see. Open that. Tonight, basically, it's just the two of us. We can make it if we try. And that's all I can probably say.
Unless you start singing, then we ain't.
We start flagging. Well, I don't know. I sing really badly, so frankly, probably wouldn't even be flagged anyway. But just the two of us tonight. We got a lot of stuff we're going to break down. We're probably not even going to get to it all, I think, with everything. First and foremost, right up front, yes, we are aware of what happened last night during the Oscars. Yes, we are aware of the hoopla and the fact that the Guardian YouTube video alone has 73 million views and over 200,000 comments. We're not talking about that tonight because there's a lot
of that yesterday.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff with, what happened with the Oscars that actually outside of the slap heard around the world that we're going to be focusing our attention on. Additionally, we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that's going down with one of the celebs from the upcoming both Secrets of Dumbledore and Justice League, as well as talking about the strange embargo. You mentioned this just before the show on Morbius from Marvel and also Sonic 2. So let's start this off right now with the Oscars, not the slap. Give me your thoughts on it first off.
Well, obviously they were trying a lot of things. This was like what you would see in sports is like a rebuilding year. Very experimental. Trying a couple of different things. The three female comic host idea. There was merit.
Mm-hmm.
Although one could also argue that it was kind of like a too many cooks spoil the pot sort of scenario, especially when you saw that aside from a singular incident where a joke fell flat, there were a lot of other jokes that fell flat too. And
they often do with the Oscars, though, if you've ever noticed.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like usually comics, people of an entertaining nature are usually the ones that you get to host the Oscars because it's a show. It's, theater for the people that are always giving theater to everyone else. So you want someone that's going to be entertaining. You want someone that's going to be able to keep them laughing, keep them entertained because it's for them just as much as it is for the audience. And while comics have usually been like the staple, it's hard to find the right fit.
Yeah.
Nothing against Regina Hall. I liked her. Wanda Sykes and Amy Schumer just kind of fell flat for me a little bit. And mind you, I used to be a great Amy Schumer fan. I was loving her even before she had her TV show.
Okay. From the stand-up bit. Okay.
Yeah. No, I've seen her at Stress Factory. She was great. I remember her from Last Comic Standing when she was like the first time I saw her. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's motherhood or all the Netflix drama that followed her. I don't know what it is, but nothing landed for me. Well, and that's going to be hard because that sets the pace for the entire show. All this entertainment that they had, it was roughly 25 minutes before they even got to the first award. Because that already drains you.
Sure. And that's part of the problem. They've had complaints in the past about the Oscars being too long to begin with, which has caused some controversy in its own right by slicing up and doing things off air and throwing it in post, and leaving that.
It still goes long. So what were you solving by doing this? These poor 8 categories, was it? Mind you, yes, most of it pretty much technical stuff that maybe you have a niche audience, whether in the theater or not. But still, it's their time to shine. You're given the award, give them the time to embrace it.
Yeah. And what's funny about this also is the fact that I think by and large, most people were not that interested. They watched it because it was going to rule the night. Okay, fine. Yeah. But I think I mentioned this to you. I put a post up on Facebook. I said, describe for me in 3 words or less your thoughts of the Oscars. And 95%, at least 95% of the comments were basically like, I hate this. This is boring. I don't care. And then there was a couple, it's like, I love it. But most of it was like, this sucks now. Too boring.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I remember when there was times back when society actually went out and did things. There would be
Right.
yeah, no, there was a time. Believe me, young man, I speak from experience. But there would be Oscar parties up in New York City. People
Mhm.
would actually go ahead and rent out a hall, or they'd have something in their apartment. People would dress up, get together. We'd all sit down. We'd all throw out our bets for who's gonna win what, and just start arguments over it before the awards drop. It was fun in that sense. It's basically the Super Bowl of the industry.
Mhm.
But here's the difference. Super Bowl is entertaining in itself. If you're going to have something where you have the majority of entertainers throughout the world showing up in one place and congratulating them on their work, don't be boring.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's always haunted the Oscars. It's boring. You can't have that many entertainers in one room and have it be a snooze fest. Some argue the Golden Globes is much more of an entertaining show. I think it's because liquor's involved for some case, but
In one case, Ricky Gervais calling everybody out.
yeah, I mean, but that's the
Whoa.
thing. You can get away with that at that because it's a much more relaxed environment. People are sitting there having their dinner. Everyone's at a round table. No one's in necessarily a theater mode where they have to watch and they can't do much else. It's a much more relaxed environment. That's why I think the Golden Globes is something that more people would plan to show up for. The
Mhm.
Oscars almost seems like it's what's the word I want to use? Obligatory
Mhm.
for them.
And what I think also is hurting the Oscars as well is the fact that as a society, we're a lot more fast paced. We don't have the patience that we used to. So as we're more focused on the TikToks type of mentality, where videos are a minute long, YouTube videos, it's not even it's not even 5 to 7 minutes anymore. It's like 1 to 3 minutes. And as a result, you have this event that's 3 to 4 hours long, and you've got a bunch of people out there that are just sitting there just doing this, thanking their producer, their hairdresser, their doctor, their lawyer, their pharmacist, their drug dealer, and then thanking every single person that's out there. And you're just like, oh my God, move on to the next damn category. And it hurts the credibility of the product. And I'm not just talking with the Oscars, I'm talking with sports in general. I forget exactly what the TV ratings were this past year. I remember it now, but the Super Bowl ratings have dropped every single year since 2012. They went up between last year and this year because COVID was tied into that. But leaving COVID out of that, even the Super Bowl, the TV ratings have dropped every single year because most people can't sit still that long anymore. And you
I
have a
just thought it was because
society
the Giants weren't in it. But
what's
that's
that?
me.
The Giants are not going to be in it for a long time. I know. I suffer with that team. But what I think, and this is going to sound weird, I'm coming up with this right now. Do you know what I think would probably blow the Oscars ratings through the absolute roof? Betfair.
What?
DraftKings, Betfair. If you had the ability to bet on the Oscar winners, I think that would draw so much attention back to it again.
Don't they though? I thought that was already a thing.
Is that already a thing? No, but I'm saying does DraftKings sports betting, does sports betting tie to the Oscars?
Yeah, I thought there already was stuff like that nowadays. I don't know if it's necessarily in app form,
No, I
but
was gonna say, but yeah, I mean, is it mainstream though? I mean, with sports, DraftKings, Betfair, I mean, all of the ones that are there, I mean, they're straight in your face all the time. I don't remember ever seeing that with the Oscars. I'll have to find that
maybe
out.
not. Maybe it's just in little personal pools and stuff.
Yeah,
Stuff that you have at the office. But
but
you know,
no. By the way,
I
can I
mean,
just?
if that was the case, I still would have gone broke considering who won.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there were some winners we kind of expected, and Kanto was going to win that because it's Disney. You got to assume that. But Coda picked it up. There's a few others as well. But I want to highlight something that's going to tie in a little bit to what you were going to talk about when it came to Ezra Miller. Before I get to that, though, can I just point out for the record that poster over your right shoulder is Nightmare Fuel?
You mean this one?
Yeah, the brown and with the two kids, the silhouette screening.
Yeah, I know. It's great, isn't it? That
Yeah.
is an original New Mutants poster from when
Okay.
it was first supposed to be released back in April 13 years ago. It was supposed
You
to be a
know,
Friday the 13th release.
this is the problem with just the two of us, because when there's four or there's an image, it's too small for me to see it. Now I just see,
So now it's like it's all here.
dude, I can't. I've been looking at that thing since like the beginning here, and I'm like, I got to bring this up because that thing's gonna haunt my dreams tonight.
Hey, look, that was the anticipation of what that movie was supposed to be.
Hmm.
It was supposed to be the first time we actually had a horror film since probably the Blade movies in the comic book franchises of Marvel.
And Blade wasn't
And
even a horror movie anyway.
yeah, no, they kind of screwed the pooch on that,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I remember watching it when it finally got put onto Disney Plus. And needless to say, I can appreciate what they wanted to do, but obviously it got gutted
Second
completely.
one to
I
me was the
think that
best
was
movie of those
more
three.
Fox's work than anything else.
Yeah.
Had they been able to go for more of like the hard horror sort of like Freddy, Jason, Voorhees sort of
Mhm.
feel, I think they really could have like really hit it well. But
Mhm.
now
Well,
it's
I mean,
just a piece of this is like the best thing you're going to get out of the movie right now. Just this poster.
fair enough. But anyway, I just really wanted to bring that up.
Well, I
Anyway,
mean, I know because obviously you're such a fan of horror. So,
oh yes, oh yeah, we got the charity event coming up on that. I got to talk to you about that too.
oh, we have a charity event go now.
Yeah.
Just for anyone that hasn't watched it or anything, um, we all know that Scott, for lack of a better term, is a Rudy Two Candy. No, no, I'm not gonna finish the phrase, but he is a squeamish when it comes to the world of horror films, and of course, horror films being one of the cornerstone genres of cinema. Um, we felt it would be nice outside of the normal watch-alongs when we do Moon Knight, which is going to be starting up this week, or when we did the Oscars in the past month, to actually put him through the paces and make him watch some of the most horrific, gruesome, blood-curdling, nightmare-fuel movies that we can think of for
You're
charity.
welcome, St. Jude's. You're welcome.
Yes, for St. Jude's Hospital. So,
Yeah,
any and
that's
all
that's the
proceeds
first
that
round.
we
I've got some
can and
stuff.
will get from that will certainly go to them. And now, how we're going to go ahead and get any proceeds, I almost want to say, just from your part, if there's any time that you look away from the screen, like whether you cringe or you
Oh,
blink or you
dude,
hide
no.
yourself,
Oh no. What do you? What
you
do you?
should throw in $5.
Oh God, I hate you so much right now.
Now, obviously, the price could be changed, sure, but
Yeah, your price can be changed. $20.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, but I and you know what? Extra encouragement. Anytime we go ahead and we use a movie that may be suggested by our audience, which you have the power to go ahead and recommend a film that we could make Scott
I'm
watch
shaking. I'm
and
physically shaking
squirm
right now. I really am.
uncontrollably.
No joke. I'm
If you
shaking right
go
now.
ahead and recommend a film and we choose it, we double the price.
Oh, so basically, every time I look away, as a cowardly, pissant, I got to pay $10 in.
Yes, as a show of gratification for that particular audience member giving us the movie.
Oh, I hate you so much right now.
That's pretty much their, stamp of approval on the whole event.
All right, yeah. I'm not against that idea. Like I said, this is something that we're doing for St. Jude's, probably sometime the next month or so. But yeah, you I know have had some thoughts. Devani has had some thoughts. Obi, by the way, from the Sports Den and Sports Insider, has also volunteered to do this because apparently he's extremely squeamish as well.
Ooh, we get the double
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's he was like, I will be willing to do this because I hate horror films as well. I believe the Evil Dead 2013 is so far at the front of the list as what's going to happen for me. Knowing because I talked to you guys privately about like what is my real hardcore horror and what isn't. Like the Ring movie did not scare me at all. I was the only person that did not actually get scared at all. I just loved the concept of the movie. But Final Destination crushed me. Saw will not do well with me. Evil Dead, probably in this case here, that's the kind of stuff that will be very, very difficult for me to have to handle, which of course will be to the amusement of anyone who's going to sit there and watch this poor schmuck sit there and get terrified repeatedly, despite being a 46-year-old guy who's done stunt work in Hollywood.
So, folks, keep that in mind when you're giving your suggestions. We're not necessarily looking for suspense or thriller or for that alone in the house by yourself and atmosphere. No, we're looking for gore. We're looking for blood. We're looking for guts. We're looking for viscera. We're going to go Eli Roth on this. All right. Maybe a little bit of Corman if necessary. Keep that in
I think
mind when you
Corman I
give
can
your
handle. You
suggestions.
know, I
And
mean,
if you do have them, go ahead and leave them in the comments on whatever form of video you're watching this on, or go ahead and send it directly to our Twitter or email. And this way we can compile a list. And once we have a set date as to when we're going to do this, we will, of course, let you know if any of your suggestions get utilized.
and yes, I'm going to be reaching out to like Morgue Magazine and a few of the other ones as well. Some of the horror conventions and Facebook pages to really try and generate publicity because it is at the end of the day still for St. Jude's. But if you have any thoughts directly, basically you can reach out to Film Set Tales on Twitter or on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, or Gmail at Tales from the Film Set. So any one of those guys, Tales from the Film Set on pretty much all of them except Twitter, which is Film Set Tales.
Yeah, chances are it's all in the comments that you'll already see whenever you're watching this video.
Yeah. I'm going to probably like slice this up, throw it up on the YouTube page anyway.
Actually, Film Set Tales is like right there, right above his head. So
Actually,
I mean,
my
easy to
God, yeah,
find.
look at that. So yeah, you send it right there. That works too. But yeah, so like I said, St. Jude's is the first one. I've already talked to Miguel Figueroa from Toy Quest 101. You remember him about an autism one, but we're working the horror one first. But then autism is coming next. I have a feeling we can probably get some names involved in that one too. To get some assistance.
You know what we should do one after all those? One for alopecia.
Okay.
Just for the sake of it. I mean, this way we can do it non-violently.
Alopecia, ironically, did trigger some stuff yesterday.
People.
Okay, listen, I'm not against doing this kind of stuff for charity. I'm totally cool with it.
Just we're not doing the ice bucket challenge. That's completely fine by me.
I've done the ice bucket challenge. It wasn't that bad. It sucked for a couple of minutes, but I moved on.
I'm too thick, so I mean, the cold water doesn't affect me. It's like when you're built like a polar bear, it doesn't.
Dude, it's like you have like this like animal like hugging you to keep you warm. Like I said, if you ever check out the YouTube channel from years ago called Life and Level, you'll see that. But
speaking of being built like an animal, there was another celebrity, surprisingly enough, over the weekend. Yeah, you know how I work.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
There was another one who actually had their own physical altercation over the weekend. We're talking basically about Ezra Miller,
yes,
the DCEU's Flash himself. Also going to be coming up in the next Fantastic Beasts Secrets of Dumbledore film, which just started its promotional campaign with the trailers again. And yeah, I can understand how some people would be a little bit more shocked with, say, Will Smith doing what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be shocked by what Ezra did because this is not his first rodeo. Apparently, he was at a bar in Hawaii, and that's your first indication because the other incident that happened for him back in 2020 was also at a bar. So maybe Ezra
it might have been Vegas.
Yeah, it's starting to see a trend. But yeah, apparently he got a little irate when some people were doing karaoke and they bothered him with their antics. And so much so that he started yelling at them. He was taking the mic from them. Even got into an altercation with a separate person that was playing darts at the time. The owner was apparently trying to calm him down. And ultimately, he was arrested for disorderly conduct and harassment and released on a $500 bail. Now, I know. In the grand scheme of things, yeah, it's nothing. $500 is chump change. He probably spent twice as much on the alcohol bill alone.
At least.
But the thing about this is that back in 2020, like I mentioned before, Ezra Miller had also another incident that came through. This one actually had videotape of him strangling a fan that apparently upset him, a female fan, while he was in Iceland. Now, at the time, this was all before, Zack Snyder's Justice League came out. This was like, possibly damaging to the promotion of that. There was still talk about whether or not there would be a Cyborg movie and a Flash movie. Flashpoint was almost put on the back burner because of it. Nothing ever happened to Ezra Miller, even with videotape evidence, much in the same way there was videotape evidence back on Sunday of another
Mhm.
person. Nothing happened to him. Instead, they just went ahead and promoted the Snyder Cut as well. Obviously, they've brought him back for the more Fantastic Beasts movie. And you have to wonder, are celebrities just completely away from normal thinking where they feel Teflon that they can do things like this to normal society and get away with it? Which, for you and I mean, we're actors. We all dream of possibly one day getting to the heights that these people are at. But then you also have to question whether or not it's going to warp your mentality, much as it has them.
I look at it from two perspectives. One, sympathetic, and one not sympathetic. The non-sympathetic one is that you have to control your actions no matter what the situation is. That's the price to be paid for being a celebrity. And I want to throw Ben Roethlisberger right into this mix because
Really?
Roethlisberger had a lot of personal issues when he was drafted. When he became a celebrity, he was unable to adjust to it, and he had a lot of issues that went on that he had to work his way out legally. Notwithstanding the fact that his father himself was like, "I'm very disappointed in you," and apparently that got him clean. But in this case here, on one hand, the staunch side of me is like you have to control your actions, you have to control what you do, and that will always take precedent over the next part of what I'm going to say, which is when you're at that level, I think it's harder to do so because the temptations are there, the lack of freedom is more pronounced, and it's a tougher life when you're always in the limelight and you get no privacy of any sort. Not saying it's justified. I'm not saying it's acceptable, but I'm saying I can kind of maybe get it a little bit when you're that much in the spotlight and you just want freedom and quiet and you're not getting any of it, that you can sometimes lash out. And who knows? It might be a drug related thing also. Who knows? But I mean, I kind of get to a degree. Listen, dude, I get it to a degree, about the stress that these guys are under. But at the same time, it's not the be all and end all. You have to control your own actions one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, not to necessarily fall back on the same person, but Will Smith going ahead in his speech saying that he was trying to be a vessel of light, bring his,
It's a light,
a
well,
sign
smacking
of
the door.
love for his people, for his family, and everything. If you're trying to go ahead and live your life in such a, you know, almost godly sense,
Mhm.
and you have no problem being a role model to some people. I mean, taking the going to sports, Charles Barkley was one of those
Mhm.
people that was infamously saying, "I'm not a role model. Don't do
Yes.
what I do." I give him credit for going ahead and saying that. But the fact of the matter is, if you are even in the limelight to a slight degree, you are a role model for somebody, whether or not you want to be, but you are,
Yes.
because they see you, and then when someone sees you, they can relate in their own way. They can emulate in their own way. Life imitates art and vice versa.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you're going to go ahead and put yourself out there, someone will put you on a pedestal.
Mhm.
Not necessarily yourself, but somebody will, which means you have a responsibility of just showing yourself out there the best possible way you can be. Now, yes, obviously people make mistakes, but when you do make them, you rectify, you
Mhm.
alter, you change, you do something to make sure that that does not happen again or that it is completely forgotten in the will of people that will follow you. Because otherwise, that stuff will accumulate and it will bring you down. Look at someone like Kanye West.
Mhm.
People want to go ahead and say, "Oh, he needs help. Oh, he needs therapy." People like R. Kelly. "Oh, get R. Kelly some help." You had all those years before to get him
Mhm.
help. You had all those years to show your support, but instead you turned a blind eye because you found it all entertaining until the next album dropped. So
Well, see,
don't
that's
go ahead and start saying, "Oh, they're at fault," just because you enabled them to a certain degree.
well, I think also Hollywood as a general rule tries to enable because the PR gets involved. I mean, you talk about all this stuff happening in 2020, the $500 bond, and things like that. But also, there's big movies that came out. Why it came out now, like right before he's got two big movies coming out, is curious to me. But you look at this industry, and there's everything in the world is run by money, and Hollywood's got a lot of it. So if they can figure out a way to sweep it under the rug, and I'm going to use Harvey Weinstein as a prime example there, how many years did that go on? Where we all thought, I mean, Kevin Smith's entire career belonged to him. Goodwill Hunting, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. I think I want to say Goodwill Hunting was also a Weinstein production as well. So, I mean, you look at all the things that have happened and all the celebrities that are involved, and you look at all of this and you think, so are they sweeping under the rug that they're not talking about?
I try not to think about the skull and bones of Hollywood and all the, Illuminati, this, that, and the other thing. Because Lord knows you could probably go ahead and crack it all the way back to when black and white pictures were still prevalent, and there'd be some stuff rooted in history that have not seen the light of day. Probably the Black Dahlia is connected to it. Who knows? But I think, as an actor, as a fellow actor, and I'm sure Robert and Devani and maybe even JT to a certain extent, when you hear about stories like this, does it make you double check yourself about wanting to be in this industry, knowing that at any given moment you could go ahead and have that green light and just get skyrocketed? And then you have a whole set of new problems and a whole set of new responsibilities that will wane on you every single day, whether you're doing work or not, simply in order to make sure that you stay where you are. Because, I've been looking at it and I've been thinking, look, when I was younger, I wanted to go ahead and have an Oscar by the time I was 35. I wanted to get a Best Actor Oscar. That's when I knew I had hit it. Then I, changed it and I was like, just give me any Oscar. And then I changed
Oscar Mayer. I don't even care anymore.
Just let me sit at the Oscar. Let me come to the party. Yeah. Now I'm to the point where it's like, I know people say you shouldn't go ahead and do it for the fame, but I almost question whether or not I want to do it for the industry. Because I feel like that's just all going to trickle down into the lowest, senses of entertainment and acting that we get to pursue. It's all going to just have this overflooding effect that is going to tarnish everything. And no longer is it the sought after industry that I wanted.
And I understand that, because now you're not seeing it through the rose-colored glasses anymore.
Oh, absolutely not.
And for me personally, to answer your question, I'm going to answer it and throw a question, which will become an additional answer. I went back to school 3 years ago for radio and TV broadcasting, because I saw the writing on the wall as far as Hollywood was going to go. I felt a vibe. I just couldn't explain it. But just something in my instincts was like, you need to start making a move and you need to start making a transition here. I couldn't figure out. Something in my head was like, this is the right move. And it seems and it is. I see what's happening with the industry. I see what's happening, with, the peon level that I'm at, in the acting world itself. And I look at a lot of that and I'm just like, I can't really forge my own destiny in this world. Now, one of the things that I will say outright that does scare me straight up is the fact that an entire life can be completely 100% altered for 1,000 times better or 1,000 times worse with a simple push of a button by someone anywhere on the planet. Because basically, Tales from the Film Set tomorrow could have 7 million viewers an episode.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Or it could go the opposite way, and then basically our names are completely in a heartbeat because someone just typed something. That's what scares me.
No wink, no nudge on that.
Yeah. But I mean, in this case here, I saw, like, when I did America's Got Talent 7 years ago, I saw what the internet could be like. I saw what the internet, how the internet reacted. And that was just a stupid 90-second video, and you see certain people in this industry, I'll use Jake Lloyd as an example. Mara Wilson is a phenomenal example because she's got a good head on her shoulder. You remember her from like Simple Wish, and a lot of the kids movies, the remake of Miracle on 34th Street with Richard Attenborough. She said
I forgot.
Yeah, that was Mara Wilson. She talked about how the industry is designed in such a way to completely screw you up as a child. And then as soon as you turn 18, we'll kick you out for the next 10-year-old.
Yeah, there's always the horror stories when it comes to like child actors.
Yeah, and if you look at the Olsen twins, if you look at Macaulay Culkin and the struggles he had, he's gotten himself clean. But
Danny Bonaducci,
yeah, dude. It's the challenges that he had. Gary Coleman. I mean, even a lot of this industry is designed in such a way that it can use you very easily. And the sports and radio industry can, I think, to a smaller degree. But the way I'm going to look at this is I like what Mike Greenberg said. Mike Greenberg, if you remember him, he's got a show on ESPN right now in the morning. He was Mike and Mike in the morning for a lot of years alongside Mike Golick.
All right.
He talked about it in his book, Why My Wife Thinks I'm an Idiot. It's a fantastic read, by the way, too. But
Truth in advertising.
He talked about how his goal in life and the industry was to be a little bit famous. Not famous enough where you have to hire security and you got paparazzi up your nose every step of the way, but basically famous enough that you can get a good spot in a restaurant. You have enough money that you don't have to worry, and occasionally people are like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then you have a conversation. Where you're that like B-list level. I'm cool with that. I mean, in my life, I've seen what happens. I've seen the A-listers and I've seen the crap that they've had to deal with. I remember one specifically. I don't know why this is coming into my head, but Kate Winslet one. The sheer amount of paparazzi that surrounded her on a February overnight. It was some ice skating thing. Will Smith was also in that movie. I can't remember what the movie was, but it wasn't just it wasn't just Steve. It was every paparazzi was there. It was like 10 or 15 of them. And everywhere she went, it was just bam, 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 bam. And I'm like, that's not the kind of life that you can't really have a life that way. And it's really, really, really brutally tough.
So you said that movie. It's like, I think I'm remembering it, but
yeah, there's a lot of people that were in that. Maybe Helen Mirren was in it too.
What didn't that also have Hulk Ruffalo?
He might have been.
I
don't remember.
I know this. Hold on. Sorry, for as much as I am an actor, I'm also like a movie buff. So when something like this comes up, I'm like, ooh, I gotta get the brain going. Collateral Beauty.
That's the one. Thank you. Yes. But that movie, when Collateral Beauty was just some overnight scene, and it was Kate Winslet, but Steve Sands, the paparazzi god of New York and pretty much all of Hollywood was there. And there was a dozen other paparazzi from who knows what agencies they were tied to. And all of them were just there to just smother this woman, and she had to have full-time security around her. She had to have the PA escort, which they always have anyway. But she had to have these big burly dudes walk with her because they filmed this thing somewhere in Manhattan. I'm not going to say Rockefeller Center, but somewhere kind of like along that level. There's no freedom with that. You walk outside and people are like, oh my God, and you have no privacy. It's almost like if you look at Steve Buscemi. Now, Steve Buscemi, people are like, hey, Steve Buscemi. But he can also go into a Costco and just buy stuff. People will not smother him like they would, like one of the Helmsworth brothers.
Well, I think there's the divide there as far as actors are concerned, actors and actresses. I think there's the starlet, and then there's the thespian.
Mm-hmm.
There are those that you go ahead and you watch and you idolize simply because of who they are and how they look and how they sound, very superficial things.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at like the Steve Buscemi's and other actors of his, collateral that are true thespians. Regardless of how they look, regardless of how they're presented, they are always spot on with their performance. It's the performance that you remember. It's the lines that they say and how they say it, not necessarily just how they look when they do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, with that, I think there's a certain moniker of respect that you get for thespians that maybe you don't get for the stars and starlets.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at somebody like Adam Sandler or Rob Schneider, or, that ilk there, that I don't know if ilk is a bad word. If I'm misdefinition, I apologize. I like
that whole crew, the whole
that entourage,
Happy Madison, embodiment.
I mean, even Kevin James, I'll throw into that mix now because he's doing a lot of
even films. Chris Rock to a certain extent.
Yes, because they did Grown Ups, but Chris Rock is a bigger level, I think, than Adam Sandler is. But I mean, Adam Sandler, people are kind of like, oh, okay, cool, and he's all about it. But it's not like people are tripping all over to basically get a picture with the guy. I mean, this is the problem when you're a Kate Winslet. This is the problem when you're, even to a degree, like I said, possibly even an Ezra Miller. You have such a devoted, hardcore fan base that you can't trip over somebody wanting to take a picture with you. And that's what sucks.
Whereas I think if, Steve Buscemi ever got into an incident where he had to go ahead and like curse someone off,
mm-hmm.
I think people would probably give it like a little bit more credence to him, because if you're going ahead and you've got Steve Buscemi yelling at you,
that's bad.
You messed up. It's not Steve Buscemi who probably has the problem.
He is a prince of a human being. That dude is one of the nicest people that Hollywood's got. And he's very low key about
department.
Oh, that's also part of it too. Even before that story came out, just watching him on Boardwalk and how that rolled, seeing him directing stuff, he was just really, really chill. I was surprised he smoked cigarettes, but that notwithstanding, I mean, he like I said, he's just a chill guy. And I think as a result, he can kind of roll with it more. I mean, for me personally, if you asked me outright what my single number one goal, desire, vision for my life would have been, it would have been voice work.
Really?
That would be to be a Rob Paulson, or Maurice LaMarche, or anything like that, because it's one of those things that I can sit there, I can do the voice, of whatever it is. I can show up at cons, I can things like that, where people are like, oh, okay, cool, it's that guy, but I can make the money, have my little bit of fame, and kind of not get trampled on. You ask the average person, basically, okay, who Yakko Warner is, Raphael, all these kind of things. Can you point out Rob Paulson? The average person can't.
Well, yeah, no, because how often do you get to see him work in his face and his body?
Yeah.
No, you just always hear the voice.
I mean, even for a while when Mark Hamill was out of the limelight and doing voice work, you had a hard time recognizing him as well. Because again,
but when you hear that Joker voice, ooh,
he's got a lot of mileage out of that voice. That between that, Hobgoblin and Ozai on Avatar, he's gotten a lot of mileage out of that exact voice.
Yeah, no. Anytime Luke goes to the dark side, it's going to be good.
Yeah. And for him, I mean, even when he was out of the limelight in the 90s, early 2000s, I think he could have walked down the street and nobody would have really seen him, because he was doing so much in the voice work arena that people were like, yeah, that's Luke Skywalker. Cool. Is he going to be in the prequels?
Well, that's the thing. It's like you compare him to like someone like Harrison Ford, who just continued working on and on with Indy and Star Wars, and then
he doesn't want to be part of anything.
Yeah, whereas Hamill kind of like took the seat back. Imagine if it had been reversed. What if Mark Hamill had gone ahead and continued working all those decades, and yet Harrison Ford is the one that started doing voice work, and he ended up becoming like the voice of Batman or something.
Wow.
Imagine the switch. Imagine the personality changes.
I think it'd be tougher because this is just my own opinion, but Harrison Ford, it has a more rugged face to the camera look. Mark Hamill is more that boyish look.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think that's the thing. It's like when you start to see the aging and you start to see the cracks, unless he becomes one of those divas that gets ahead and gets the plastic surgery in order to keep themselves looking like 25 at 55.
I don't think so. I think Mark Hamill is very Alfonso Ribeiro, where you have something that you were super known for, you disappeared, you struggled with it, you were typecast too much, and then you kind of reinvented yourself a little bit, and now you've carved out a nice little career, and people are like, oh, cool, it's him. Mark Hamill's stock hasn't been this high in like 30 some years, and Star Wars, I think, only partly has something to do with it. I think the fact that animation is more mainstream, and because he is such a darling, basically just in general, if you ever get a chance to watch The Tonight Show when Adam Scott was on there, if I'm back on season 2 for Severance, I plan to talk to him about Adam Scott about this because Adam Scott invited Mark Hamill to his 5th birthday, and Mark Hamill never showed up, and it was a whole thing, and he was like that disappointed. And then out of nowhere, Adam Scott had no clue and never met him. Mark Hamill just showed up on The Tonight Show and crashed The Tonight Show because they had it pre-planned. And you hear the Star Wars music, and you hear Adam Scott being like, "No, are you?" And Mark Hamill comes out, gives him a hug, gives him a lightsaber, and he's like, "This is one of the coolest moments of my life," because that's just Mark Hamill being accepting of the fact that people like Luke Skywalker. And he has transcended being an actor and he's Luke. He's a character.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Oh,
nice.
dude, check it out, man. It tugs at the heartstrings because he's sitting there. Adam Scott's like, I wasn't that bothered by it, but I never got the chance to meet him and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, you just hear the music, and you realize what's going to happen. He realizes what's going to happen. And Mark Hamill's like, I'm sorry I didn't come to your birthday. I had a mall opening that day. I also had a bar mitzvah that week. I had, but it was a really cool moment. And apparently, they're friends and they text each other now. So,
Oh, that's so heartwarming.
dude, I know you can see me. I'm getting excited by this. So if I'm back on season 2 for Severance, I plan to not miss the opportunity and be like, do you still have the lightsaber he gave you? Well, I actually have a shirt from Parks and Rec. Possibly it's all about the cones.
See, I think it's that sort of stuff. I mean, you can go ahead and say that celebrities have a disconnect from normal society. To paraphrase a Will Smith song, celebs just don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But it's stuff like that. It's stuff where they show that they're still human, that they still have their quirks and their eccentricities, and they dive right into them, that they're still fans of the industry that they want to be in and they are in, rather than simply seeing it as a job. They see it as more of just an overall experience. It reminds me of like when I was talking yesterday about, the wonder I would get at going to Disney World versus how it is now and how corporate it's become. When you see those little hints of celebrities just being like how they're supposed to be, human, real, genuine, rather than thinking it's a facade, that's the kind of stuff that makes me come back to it. And this may end up biting me in the ass one day if ever I go ahead and become famous, but I wish celebrities just wised up.
You know what? I don't think it's going to happen because if there's too much money in social media and news outlets talking about it. To me, Hollywood falls into this. I'm going to get on a little soapbox again here. Go a little monolinguist. To me, certain things like politics, Hollywood, and things like that are designed a certain way that they are because there's so much money in reaction to it. Social media and news outlets statistically make more money when stuff goes down. Like I said, I looked at the numbers for the Guardian YouTube channel. They gained 60,000 subscribers yesterday alone, and another 21,000 today.
And there's not even a guarantee they'll ever have a video quite like that ever again.
No, but the point being is the fact that that YouTube channel went from like 2 million to like 2,060,000 and change. It exploded. And like I said, that video got 71 million views as of like 2 hours ago and 206,000 comments. The press, social media loves that kind of stuff. John Boy, who covers baseball, when I saw it yesterday, he was at 6.3 million views on his own, just reacting to that. And he covers baseball. He covers sports. He doesn't do mainstream stuff like this. But everybody was talking about it because there's so much money to be made in talking about it. It's
and
money
now
rules,
I'm brought back
rules,
down to earth, and I'm sad.
Now, in this case, we do have about 12 minutes left, so I'm going to have to hustle a little bit on the thing I wanted to really bring up.
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
So give me like four to 5 minutes on this one specifically, since it ties to Ezra Miller. The Daily Beast had an article yesterday. It was yesterday about the Oscars. And what it actually says here, disgraceful Oscars in memoriam segment left out. And then I'm going to get to it in a sec. So just throw a little bit of a bit here. Play the tribute back. And they're talking about the in memoriam tribute. Play the tribute back. And you'll notice the Academy opted to leave quite a few folks out of the montage. There are plenty of time to show Flash entering the Speed Force in Justice League, but the Oscars turned their nose at the opportunity to remember Bob Saget, Ed Asner, or Norm Macdonald. Priorities. Ooh. Yeah. And additionally, on top of it, not only that, but also Louis Anderson and Meatloaf were left out as well. Gaspard Ulliel and Monica Vitti, I'm not sure who they are, but they were left out too. So you have some people there, Bob Saget and Ed Asner. Really? You left them out of the memorial? Okay, Ed Asner's more TV, fine. But he did Up. He had a movie career. Bob Saget had a solid movie career as well. But for some reason, the Oscars was like, no, we're not going to, point out that we're not going to basically give tribute to them.
Yeah, that's always been like the tricky thing. Because I remember, who was it that they left out one year? someone who had been like, I think they were on like My So-Called Life or something like that, and
Okay.
they went ahead and Jordan, was it Jordan? No. It,
I don't know.
but yeah, there's always been like that little bit of a disconnect when it
Mhm.
comes to like television actors and movie actors, which is funny now considering you see so many people who you would say were traditionally film actors, and they're doing something on streaming nowadays because that's
Mhm.
just where there is more content and more opportunity. So it's funny that you go ahead and feel like you have to omit just because a person's career was primarily in television, regardless of any accomplishments they may have had in
Dude,
film.
you had 50. I just counted it. They had 53 people in their memorial. You couldn't tack on three more.
Yeah, no, that it's like when they go ahead and they say the Oscar nominees for Best Picture, they can
Mhm.
allot it to 10, but then they do 9 or 8,
Mhm.
or it's like you have the room.
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
ahead and give someone else some credibility where it's due.
I mean, I'm not knocking any of the people that are on here. They all deserve the tribute, but there are people that were bigger than, there were people that were not as big as those three that I just mentioned there. I mean, if you want to leave like, Meatloaf out and Louis Anderson, okay, I can accept that. But Ed Asner was the president of the Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
He won Academy Awards. Now, my theory is maybe part of the reason why they left him out is because he did file a lawsuit and sue SAG over what happened with the health insurance thing during COVID. When they cut our health insurance and all of us had to go on COVID and all of us had to go on Cobra, and people that had residuals like him that were no longer working now had to go back to work to get their health insurance. He and a lot of other actors that were out there, they filed a lawsuit. So maybe they left him out of there out of spite. I don't know.
Yeah, but then that obviously doesn't make the Oscars look any better because that just shows that they're petty.
That lawsuit
Now,
swept under the rug. Nobody even talks about the fact there was a $141 million deficit that they told none of us about. Yeah, August 2020, they're like, by the way, this is the new health insurance program. Sorry, you're not going to qualify. I qualified every single year since 2014. I had to pay for 6 months of Cobra. Yep. And for two people, myself and my wife. So I'm back on health insurance now. I requalified and everything like that. But during the COVID shutdown, you have to qualify based on every year, based on income earnings or days on set. If the industry has an industry-wide shutdown, you cannot hit your numbers. And they're like, you got to hit your numbers anyway. You're not going to get it. So maybe the fact that he sued might have been a reason why he wasn't on there.
but all the more reason he should be championed then, because obviously he was thinking about the actors who could one day end up in that memorial themselves if they're lucky enough to have a strong enough career.
The retirees are coming out of retirement right now to start to do stuff. Christopher Lloyd is doing Mandalorian 3. I'm very, very confident part of the reason he's doing that is because of the fact he will qualify for health insurance. Rick Moranis did a commercial for Mint Mobile. It's the first thing he really did. I have a feeling that he worked out a contract with Ryan Reynolds for $25,000 or $26,000 to qualify for that, and then took the money to charity or whatever he chose to do with it. But to requalify, because residuals and stuff that you did 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago no longer qualifies for health insurance under the new system. Doesn't matter what age you are. Dude, so you have people that Alan Oppenheimer, who was the voice of Skeletor and did voice work for decades. He's in a nursing home. He's 90 plus years old. He had to go on government assistance.
Skeletor's on government assistance.
Yes. I talked to him about this.
Oh,
Dude, this is a brutal thing that happened to a lot of us. I couldn't sleep that night. I called up my father at 10:30 at night and I'm like, how much can you hear from me? He's like, I was a cop in the military. I was like, all right, cop. And I launched in a tirade. He heard words out of my mouth he never heard before. Every single word basically beyond what George Carlin's 730 words were. Oh my God, dude, I launched because they didn't even give us any warning. They're just like, here's the brochure. And I'm looking at this thing. She had gone to bed. I was looking at this thing. I was like, this cannot be feasible. And it was. So maybe they left out Ad Asner for that. I don't know. Anyway, I can go on to that tirade for a thousand years. But we do have 5 minutes left, and I know you wanted to talk real quick about Morbius.
well, no. We can actually hold off on that until next week because actually, I did want to go ahead and bring up just one other small thing in case the audience wants to go ahead and participate in any of this. Obviously, we've talked about what we're going to do in regards to your horror movie night, and what we
Revisiting
are
this
going to do
conversation
in
again, are
regards
we?
to our usual Thursday show, which is technically going to be Wednesday for the upcoming next 6 weeks, as we will go and do Moon Knight on
Yes.
Disney Plus as it premieres to this coming Wednesday and for the next 5 weeks after. But this is also something else that we've gone ahead and toyed around with, much in the same vein as the horror movie stuff. But if there is anything else, movie wise or television wise, that the audience wants us to go ahead and do any kind of a watch along with or a review with or anything like that, definitely go ahead and let us know, because I am more than willing to go ahead and waste an entire day of my week just going ahead, sitting on the television, streaming whatever I can on this television right in front of me, and giving you some honest reviews. Now, obviously, considering we're actors and considering we're somewhat connected to the industry, there may be some bias. But over the years, I have learned that in order to give a proper criticism or a review, you have to have at least some knowledge of what's going on, but you also have to understand that regardless of how you view something, however you review it, may not change anyone's mind in the least. They may still go ahead and see it if you call it a piece of crap. They may go ahead and ignore it if you say it's the greatest thing you've ever seen. So that's why I want to go ahead and be a little bit more direct. If there's something you personally are inquiring about, let us know so that this way we can be some sort of a guiding light for you. If you're curious about something, or if you just want like someone else to bounce an idea off of, let us know in the comments, let us know on Twitter. And this way we can have a little bit more of a community rather than just a bunch of us, white guys talking heads every Tuesday night.
I was like, should we bring Devani in for diversity?
That's why we have him. No, that's not why we have him.
No, actually, Devani is an awesome human being. Why not? His rant once that he had about Reylo, about Kylo Ren and Rey, dude, that rant was just genius. And because we were talking about how the sequels are like, you're a monster, you killed those people. Second, Last Jedi, you're a monster, you killed those people. Third movie, you're a monster, you killed those people. We're going to make out now. And he was sitting there just as this rant that he had. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's like the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, we got to do more clips of where we just like go off on stuff.
Dude, that was a great clip though. But listen, I'm trying to do more clips for the YouTube channel for a lot of this stuff anyway. So, but yeah. So basically,
that's pretty much just my thing. Just trying to grow the community here at TFTFS. As I like to abbreviate it as.
Oh, really? We're TFS now, huh?
Well, TFTFS.
Yeah, we're not just TFS. We're TFTFS.
Yes.
So, well, I'm saying if Lawrence Simpson ever gets back, to me, I can have him on this, even though it's England. So speaking of TFS, dude, he
do that.
Listen, Lawrence Simpson, the voice, Masako X from Dragon Ball Z Abridged, he is a hardcore Formula One fan. That dude knows everything about F1, and we had him on SportsCenter a couple of times, and the amount of stuff that he knows, it's like he can tell you like the tire pressure that Andretti had back in the 80s. It's like that detail. The deep analysis that he has of every racing event. I'm just like, dude. And it all came about because I just sent him a message. It's like, so is there anything that you actually want to talk about that's not Dragon Ball? He's like, I love Formula One. I'm like, go. And then I'm what is? And then I'm like, what is Formula One?
It's the car racing where the wheels are really away from the body.
Yeah, it's where they keep making like left turns over and over or right turns over and over. Yeah.
NASCAR, but with fewer accidents.
Exactly. Yes, and better looking cars. But so I'd love to have him back on at this point if I can do it. But for right now, we got to wrap this up. We never, like I said, even got to your stuff with Morbius and Sonic 2. So,
okay.
Just two people.
Considering the movies are coming out next week and everything, and we'll have an idea about how things go this Friday. I think it'll probably just be as relevant next week as it will be this week.
And the fact that we flew on the two of us and still never reached the stuff we were going to talk about, and I didn't even hit the rest of the stuff I was going to do, gives a testament to the two of us. So yay us. Woo! Exactly. Good on us. So anyway, one more time as I wrap this up, thank you again, Mr. Ryan O'Regan. You can find us on Tales from the Film Set on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and also Gmail, Tales from the Film Set on any one of those. And also, as you can see right up there, Film Set Tales on Twitter. So drop us a message. If you have an idea about what specific horror film you want to do, let us know. I'm always down for that. Anyway, I'm Scott. That's Ryan. Thanks for tuning in as always. Take care. Be awesome.
JT's going to be jealous that I was able to do this with you and not him.
Not really.
Yeah.